Hi there. Happy Wellness Wednesday. Let's name these Wellness Wednesdays. I think that
We
that's
should try
great.
and do one once a month.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think we should do this once a month?
Wellness Wednesdays once a month,
And you
which,
can send us like topic ideas.
yeah, that's a great
I
idea.
think that'd be
See?
fun.
But also brainstorming Wednesdays. So Wednesdays is also a great time too because that's when our program is starting. So it kind of goes with that kind of wellness
Oh
theme.
no,
Uh-oh, yours is stopped. Mine's still going
there
though.
is an error.
So we are here as part of our Wellness Wednesdays to talk about wellness, and what Dana talks about most is nutrition. So if anyone's joining us now, just say hi and let us know you're here. And if you tune in later, just click hashtag replay. And so I know you've been here, and I know that you've participated in the conversation. And if you want to participate, please do so. I put a post yesterday
Oh,
about
that's not good. Wait,
Oh, I put a post yesterday about my own kind of diet journey, I guess you could say. I mean, I was always into diet because I felt like I was overweight when I was young, and always trying to look for that next quick thing, that next gimmick when you're young. And that those were the women that were surrounded around me too. Everybody was talking about how they were going to lose weight, or oh, I shouldn't eat this, but I'm going to. Oh, that guilty diet culture that goes along. This was my surroundings growing up.
okay, I
And
just to stop you.
what?
Did you ever hear about the doggy biscuit one?
No.
I swear that was happening when I was a kid. I remember my aunt eating doggy biscuits or something.
Why? Because there were less calories or
Less
something?
calories and avoiding the cookie. I swear, I am not dreaming that. Please, somebody, was that happening or did I just imagine
I don't
that?
know. My grandmother was into some crazy dieting stuff, and yeah, would preach to me as a young girl about it. And so, just like, I am very careful. I have a daughter. I'm very careful. I do not talk like that in front of my daughter, because I was talked about that, or that stuff
Came
was talked
back.
about in front of me. Okay, Dana's back. Her technical difficulties. So anyway, yeah, from when I was young, and I used to read those 17 magazines and Cosmo magazines, and
Mm.
they'd always have these quick tips, basically telling you to restrict what you're eating, but not really giving you any sound
I had Young and
knowledge.
Modern, I think it was, and it was like always
Oh,
exercising.
YM.
Always
Yeah.
exercises for like a
I
flat
forgot
tummy.
about that one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was addicted. My parents would get me a subscription every year.
Yeah.
But the messaging was there, right?
So different now, right? We're all on Instagram and everything else. And before, we just leaf through magazines. Yeah, tons of advice. Um, and it'd be interesting to look back to see who were actually writing those articles too. Like, what
Yeah.
kind of expertise would they have? What would their specialty be? Were they just health and wellness journalists, or were they actually, had some nutritional education? But anyway, yeah, and then from there, I was heavily competing in martial arts. So in martial arts competitions, you need to weigh in. So then you need to be lean, and you need to watch what you eat. And usually part of that culture is you eat and then you binge afterwards because you've been in deprivation mode for so long. And wouldn't that be very similar to a lot of diets out
Well,
there?
it's basically yo, like
The
yo-yo.
yo-yo.
There we go. Yo-yo. Yeah, like I had a cousin who was in wrestling and they were doing that to him and I was like, that's really not good for you.
Well, it's bad for the heart to go up and down in weight
Well,
that quickly too,
exactly.
right?
And they do all sorts of crazy things to get there.
Yeah. And it's funny because there's
Find a
some
weight
talk.
class and own it.
Well, it's the problem is, and I think part of the problem is, like, everybody does it, so you have to come down in weight so you can fight. A lot of the smaller organizations now do same day weigh-ins, so you weigh in and you get on the mat right away. But UFC is still doing weight cuts, and I think part of the reason is because the weigh-ins are such a big, heavily promoted event. So therefore, like, they'd really have to take that away,
It's like
those
their whole
sponsorships, that revenue. So it's part of the culture. But anyway, it kind of the moral of the story was, after all of those crazy diet influences, I didn't really know what to eat anymore, and like what size I even should be. So that's when I started working with Dana, and she your computer. Well, mine's going strong.
I'm gonna share
Just
this
share
to mine.
it.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
so don't
guys.
get
My
distracted.
computer is being a.
So then I met Dana, and we did our first round of the wellness program today. Like I said in my post, I was a participant, but I was also helping facilitate with the movement portion. I was hosting it at my house. And in that challenge, I really learned exactly what to eat, like what I should be doing. And then from there, I just like talked Dana's ear off to try to hone those skills for me, and she led me. So, what do you think about the diet culture? That was like my little portion.
I was lucky. My dad didn't really want it in the house. So like when Diet Pop and things came out, he's like, no, 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 no. I don't trust it and don't bring it in and I don't like that. He didn't like that. So
Yeah,
I was lucky. I was very thin. So very, very thin. Like people thought I had anorexia. That's how thin I was. I was like maybe 90 pounds. I think I hit 97 pounds in grade 12.
wow.
So I didn't have to worry about that. If anything, I was like, I just want breasts.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. I want a butt.
Well, this is the thing now is like if I even have any of those thoughts, my boobs have just been so like pumped up, being a little bit thicker. Because when we first started working together, I got too lean. I just went down too low, too lean, was not eating enough, and Dana helped me correct that too. But then my boobs were gone. And now I have more fat, and I'm eating healthier, and now I have boobs.
So I struggled with weight in my 20s. Like I started around 18 to pick up the weight, then I looked healthy, and then it escalated from there. And I never really struggled with food because I was so addicted to food. There was no telling me that maybe you should reconsider what you're eating.
Right.
So even if there was bad diets, there was no way I was doing it because I loved food. I had such a deep food addiction.
Right.
So there was
food in general, or
like the worst of the worst.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, you call it a food addiction, or was it like more like a sugar addiction, or just
Well,
like
now I
overall
know
food?
it was a sugar addiction, but back then it would have been a food addiction.
Right.
Yeah, like I just didn't know when to stop, and I just my life was like food, and I wanted specific food
Right.
and horrible food. So that's where my weight gain came into play, and issues and major health issues started picking up then. Like my mental health really went bad.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because after the weight gain.
Well, I
Or
think it's the food,
the
and so
food,
like
yeah.
I had mental health issues all my life because I'm on the spectrum. But it just really was bad. Like that was
Right.
really bad then.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it wasn't just looking at myself and saying, "Oh my God," but it was also just how that food was impacting my mental health.
Well, and this is like new research coming out, right, with the gut biome linked with mental health issues.
So in like allopathy, and what I mean by that is like modern medicine, so like doctors and that kind of system is new, but in holistic health and complementary health, they've always known that.
Okay, so it's just new as in like being spread to
Yeah, it's like
us.
they're looking at the research that was done in like more alternative research, and they're going, oh, maybe they're onto something. And then they started doing their own research and like, oh, well, look at that.
Do you ever get clients coming to you specifically because they have mental health?
Mostly pediatrics.
Right.
But I have had a few adults, but mostly pediatrics. It's with the children. And
yeah, and it's so interesting because you wouldn't think or some might not think for nutritionists to go, or sorry, for people suffering from mental health issues to go to a nutritionist. Usually we think like weight loss, weight gain, or what?
diabetes,
diabetes,
cardiovascular.
Things that are more linked, I guess, to
and
what
not
we
even
consume.
Like you say autoimmune, most people don't even think of that.
Right.
And yet
so they don't think of the inflammation to be what
they don't realize that what they consume, like cardiovascular disease, is caused by inflammation.
Right.
So it's like if you can't put that together, then you can't see the bigger picture that's happening.
Right. Yeah.
And that's like the thing about some of the fad diets out there is that you may be getting this, like if you look at it at micro view, it seems like it's an awesome thing, but when you look at the macro view, so a wider spectrum of how it's impacting your health, most of the fad diets, like the top fad diets right now, are actually destroying your microbiome. And that's like setting all sorts of stuff, making you more prone to inflammation, and it's just like this big bomb you're sending.
So would the micro view be more like the weight loss?
The weight loss, yeah. And some people are like, oh, well, my blood sugar levels are great. But the thing is, as soon as you lose weight, your blood sugar levels get better.
Right.
It's just part of the picture. And as soon as you transfer from the typical North American diet to something else, your blood sugars are going to get better. Will it stay like that? No. Eventually the pendulum, so the pendulums, I'm trying to get in the right camera. The pendulum's over here. So you're like in a state of unhealth and overweight. And then you go here, the minor effects of the fad diet are on. So it's temporary, but then you swing back to here, and then either all those symptoms come back, or those symptoms and more, or different symptoms, because you're still abusing your body. You're just abusing it differently.
Right. So what would be an example of a fad diet that you're seeing right now? Keto. Keto, intermittent fasting, is that
extreme intermittent, because there is some benefits to time restricted fasting, but anything more than 12 hours is bullshit. I'm gonna say it. Bullshit. Yeah. And if you're a woman, it's even more bullshit for you.
And why? Why?
Because it really affects our hormones big time.
Right.
Big time.
So why is it like the keto? Let's start with keto. What's the biggest like no-no? I usually say when we cut out a major food group like that, like why would we not eat something like carbs? Our body needs carbs, right? So when we cut out
our cells need carbs, but it needs the right carbs.
Right. Because when we think of carbs, people want to cut out carbs, like keto says. We always think of the processed carbs. Like, of course, we want to cut out wheat. Of course, we don't want to consume,
flours and free sugars and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, that makes sense. But then they take it to the extreme, right?
And cut out all carbs.
Well, no, they'll keep, like, lettuce. Like, they're allowed to have so many grams of carbohydrates, but they're aiming for, like, lettuces and, like, that kind of stuff, things that are like really low on the glycemic index. I think some of them will eat raspberries. It all depends. There's so many different versions out there right now.
Right, yeah.
Like, I was just introduced to dirty keto, and I'm like,
oh, what's that? The bacon and ranch?
No, actually it's not. It's almost closer to what I promote, just not 100, like there's still dairy.
Yeah.
Because that's a huge thing with keto is dairy, and that's like the worst saturated fat out there. Like, that's like the end all be all. If you're gonna get rid of something, get rid of that.
Yeah.
And keep it for special occasions.
Yeah.
Don't be doused and everything with it. But yeah, they can still have it, but they're just eating more clean.
Right.
And like, if they're not going to have white rice, they're going to have brown rice. But again, I'm sure.
So why do they call it dirty keto?
Because it's not truly keto. And I'm like, they have to have the keto in there, because if they don't have the keto in it, you're not going to go for it.
Yeah.
Even though you can't even get into a state of ketosis with this dirty keto.
It's highly marketable.
That's what it is. Yeah. We should just start calling our program keto and then go, surprise, we were just shitting you.
Yeah. Psych.
We're just going to tell you why it's not good for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay. So what other diets do people come to you after being on a diet and you kind of have to clean up the mess that's happened?
Yes. I've had people have like breakdowns in my office because they were doing some sort of fad diet and they couldn't figure out why. They're like, I'm passing out. I'm just not feeling well. I have no energy. And I'm like, it's because you're doing this keto.
Yeah.
And often that's what it is I'm fixing the damage. Or they'll come in with symptoms they've never had before. And it's from like one, it was paleo. You know what I mean? And then I have to educate them. And then you have the ones that come in and they're not feeling well and they want your opinion. But because you're not going along with their agenda, they're not happy with you. And it's like, but that's what's harming you. That's why you're having those symptoms.
Yeah, and that's why you came here.
Yeah.
So, but I think people that reach for like the fad diets, I don't fault them at all, because I did the same thing. I did the paleo right before I met you. I was doing paleo. I cut out sugar, which is not really a fad diet, more just a smart decision. But like, yeah, I was on the paleo train for a while. And it's because we were looking for something. We wanted an answer, and it wasn't so much sometimes it's not so much a quick fix, or it's not so much the magic pill, but we just want something because there's confusion. And the confusion I believe is because everybody wants to be able to be the leader. They want to be able to tell you what to eat. They want you to follow them and have to stick with them, and they sell you a method, and then you stay within the method, and then it builds that method and it builds them. And I just think,
and they bring in lots of money,
and I just think that what we do here is we try to be very honest with what you should be eating or could be eating as a human, and then kind of send you on your way to be able to have that clarity. That's ultimately our goal. We don't want to keep you in a vortex of diet or needing us other than for support and accountability.
Yeah.
And I think people reach to those diets and those communities and those cultures because they're looking for something. And I run a community here at Zen. I see the reaction these women have to being a part of a community, a movement community. We've seen the reactions in these groups. People want to be a part of a community, and they want to do something together. When we're in those times of weaknesses, we want to be accountable to somebody or something bigger than ourselves. And sometimes that helps us get over that little hump. And that's what we provide in the wellness program. So I don't fault people for being on keto or trying intermittent fasting or trying any of those things. And what is even more so is I admire the discipline that it takes to be in one of those diets.
Is it discipline though? Like I feel like those like people who are doing it and they end up quitting because they can't keep the discipline. But I find the ones that are actually keeping the discipline, I worry about an eating disorder.
I know, but there's still the discipline. Like sometimes you see someone going from eating like a complete like crazy, unhealthy diet to cleaning it up completely and still carrying it on. And that is discipline, whether it's short term, whether it's long term. They still went to the store, they still bought all that stuff. To me, that's admirable, and that's passion, and that's also like sometimes I think that desperation, like we want something to hold on to. And I do think that should be celebrated. I think it takes time and effort to get into these.
Unless you're taking it too far and that discipline's actually an eating disorder, because I've seen it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But they need some guidance and help. I just don't think that it's like something that's it's not all negative. That's what I'm trying to say. Is the discipline is there. It's just the method.
Directed.
It's the method. Way. Exactly. The method is not there. I think part of the method is the supportive community that you can be a part of, as well as the education and knowledge. Let's break down the wellness program a little bit. What inspired you to start this?
Well, I was seeing a pattern in what advice I was giving my clients. And then we met up and you're like, well, we should try and do a program. And at first I was like, how do you do that? Because I'm very like individualized. But then I realized, yeah, there is certain consistencies that I do because we're all humans and there are certain things that are just human based.
Yeah.
And then I came up with some areas that were very important to target. And then we built on it. Like, I feel like we've constantly built on those concepts.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And that's just it. Dana was seeing these clients, and basically the base level for all of them was pretty much this program. And she was doing that individual, but she wasn't seeing as much of a success rate individually as when they came into a group setting or a part of a community.
Or they could be, they support each other. There's still some individuals who they thrive better on an individual base, but a lot of women I find.
That's so true. That's here, group exercise versus the private one-on-one training. That's so true. But yeah, we decided to put everybody together, and mainly it's not even like the education is on its own because Dana provides videos and emails, and then she provides like online and phone and text support one-on-one. But the group meetings is where people can come and make a connection and then build an accountability beyond themselves, and also share their hardships, share their successes, share their stories and their inspiration and their recipes, their aha moments, or just vent. We've had some women just like venting. And it's like, it's all real. It's all emotions and it's all valid. And we're all there to validate all those feelings part of that journey. And I think that's huge. Our next round starts on September 25th. I was going to make another post today, but I'll say it a little bit here. We're also results oriented. We want, what are we going to get? How are we going to feel? Like where is this going to take us? And I started to think of some of the examples because we've run about 12 rounds of this program and we've seen countless women and we've seen countless success stories. And I think one of the most powerful ones for me and it really just shows me that the body wants to thrive and it wants to heal so badly when it's put in the right environment. And that's a really smart mindset to get in, especially if you are in a crisis state or a state of unhealth, is that the body wants to thrive, and just even small changes that you make over time is going to have results. So the one story was Jen Whiting with her puffer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this woman came to me and she was training Muay Thai with me for years. She was on the mat all the time. She came in pretty out of shape and like worked her way up into shape. But something that was a common theme was she always had her puffer on the mat. She'd always run off and take an inhale of that puffer. And it was something that she did since she was an early teen, or maybe even like 12, 13, that age, when she used to run track and do that sort of stuff. She'd always be on that puffer. She joined the first round of our challenge, and in the third week, I believe, we start to tackle dairy and wheat. And so she gave up dairy. She was a cheese fanatic, which I know
Butter.
some of
She was
you,
obsessed with butter too.
yeah. Cheese fanatic, butter, and Dana also tells us this: if you're a cheese fanatic, it's okay. You're actually addicted, and that's okay. We can help you through that. But anyway, she was a cheese fanatic. Didn't think she'd be able to give it up. Gave it up 2 weeks. Gave it up for 2 weeks, and she didn't have to bring that puffer on the mat anymore. Consistently didn't have to bring that puffer on the mat anymore. I remember a year and a half later,
she had butter or something, I think.
well, she went on that trip to Dominican, and she had a living moment, and she ate at the buffet all week. And when she came back to class, she had butter, she had ice cream, she had cheese. When she came back, she was back on that puffer. She cleaned up her diet again, and she put her puffer aside. So just some kind of dependency that you have since your teen life, in 2 weeks, it just shows how strongly the body wants to heal and thrive.
Yeah, and we say that, like, I think I started on Ventolin or medicine I was 4 and I had the masks, and that's the situation for me as well. If I don't have dairy, I rarely have to touch it.
Yeah.
Rarely have to touch it. If I have a slice of pizza.
Oh my God. She just went to the hospital one night because of a slice of pizza.
My face just got all red. I was with Jen. I was like, I need to go home.
Yeah. But is it like true? Because if you expose yourself to the cheese, you have those symptoms. But then I think it was because you didn't expose yourself for so long, and then you had it.
It's hard to say. Like, there's some theories that, oh, maybe you should have been having it, and I disagree with that. I think for me, as you age, certain things change, and I notice certain things that kind of bother me more, and it's just part of aging.
Yeah.
So I think it might be that. I did find a regimen where I can get away with a slice of pizza in a living moment, but it requires a lot of antihistamines and
natural antihistamines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just one small example. We have many. We don't really focus on weight loss, but a common theme was weight loss when you start to take the crap out and you start to put the goods in. Weight loss is a great
weight loss. Like, we've measured body fat percentage.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, sorry, not on the scale. Talk about the weight set point. I thought this was really interesting.
Okay, so when you gain weight, you have this weight set point. So as you age and develop, your weight set point goes and moves with you. But as you gain unhealthy weight, it moves up and it moves up. And to try and bring it back down to where you were is really difficult. It'll swing back down. So if you do a fad diet, it swings back down. But as soon as you stop, or you've been on the fad diet too long, eventually swings you right back up, and sometimes bumps you back up. So when you're trying to lose weight, you want to move the weight set point with you, and you can't do that with a fad diet. You only can do that with baby steps. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow, healthy weight loss, then that actually comes down with the weight instead of staying up there and then you're losing the weight.
So you're referring to fad diet as rapid weight loss too?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it can't happen often, rapid.
Yeah, you want, like, the recommendation is 1 to 2 pounds a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that will, like, that's an average. Sometimes women will, like, lose a little bit more faster because you're losing a bit of water weight at the beginning.
Right.
And inflammation. A lot of people are surprised about that. But then it evens out, and then sometimes it stops for a period, but you maintain. And if you're maintaining, you're on the right track. Everybody's like, well, I peaked. We think that, like, that's the diet mentality. I peaked. No, your body's just trying to stabilize itself. just keep doing what you're doing, unless it's a bad diet. Keep doing what you're doing, and eventually it's going to start going down again. And that's how it was for me. Like the weight I lost, over 65 pounds, that didn't happen very quickly. That happened over a very long time. And I kept at it. I went through 2 pregnancies during the whole procedure. So obviously I'm not going to continue to lose weight while I'm pregnant. And it was slow and steady wins the race. And I had to get out of that, I want to look better mind frame. So I just started focusing on, hey, look, not using my puffer as much. Hey, look, I don't feel like I need to take 20 naps during the day. Like that was huge. I felt like I needed to sleep all the time.
Right.
And then like aches and pains that shouldn't have been there were going away. I had a knee injury, and a lot of that inflammation, like I still have pain on certain days, but a lot of that, like that was every day. Like I get out of bed and I'd be like, oh, you know?
Yeah. For me, I gained 30 pounds, extra pounds with my pregnancy. So I had 30 pounds to lose, and it took me 2.5 years to lose it, which was very difficult when there's all these magazines. I think I was pregnant at the same time as like Kim Kardashian and stuff. And she just lost all the weight, you know, instantly. And I think it was like in 4 weeks, she lost all her baby weight. So funny. I saw Amy Schumer was doing this skit, and she was like, yeah, it's no big deal that I'm like the same or pregnant the exact same time as Meghan Markle. And like Amy Schumer just had like a nasty pregnancy. She got super big, and there's like Meghan Markle and her little belly bump. It's just like a funny comparison. Anyway, yeah, so the weight loss doesn't happen rapidly is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, it depends on like the situation. Like with what's her name that you're pregnant at the same time, like how much weight did she gain during her pregnancy? That's the other thing, is like I find when women are comparing how long it takes you, well, like how much weight did they gain, you know what I mean? It's like I gained healthy weight, so
I know some people just gain the baby weight.
Yeah, that's all I did.
Total.
I gained just the baby weight, and so 3 months later with Tristan, and I was back to normal. With my daughter, it took me a little bit longer. 6 months, I was back to normal.
So I wanted to, what would the expectation be of the program? So like talk about week to week. What do you do?
So every week you get an email on a Sunday. You read the email, you watch the video, you have a booklet, which you'll get the first day, and then you meet up. So once you've digested all the information we give you, then you show up and we talk about it. And we try and make goals for each of you to go home and work with, goals that fit with your lifestyle and your individual needs.
Right. So for example, the first week we tackle water and dehydration.
No, the first week is actually goal setting.
Oh,
it is like it's setting goals for the full program, and then trying to get our mindset. And then
this is her new improved one. I'm running through it with her at the same time. Again, I'm going back to
I've revamped it for those of you who've done the programs before. It's quite revamped.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's just going a different route.
Cool.
Yeah, I think it's important to set those big goals. So the whole program, what is my goal? Talk about that, and talk about, one thing we are talking about is diet mentality, because I noticed that some of the girls have been doing the diets before.
Oh yeah.
And then they come into the program. So we've had people on Weight Watchers, we've had people on keto, we've had people on all sorts of different diets, and they come into the program and they take that negativity and their like failures in their mind into the program. And that's not happening this time. No. We're going to learn to drop it. First session, you're going to get it out of your system, and we're going to drop it. So that's one thing we're going to be working on, is letting go.
Because even though this is an 8-week program, we're looking for longevity. We're trying to flip the switch. We're trying to change the mentality, break the addictions, not just spend 8 weeks together and then go off and you'll be fine and you can go back to your regular eating.
Fall back into another fat diet.
Or fall back into another fat diet. This is a lifestyle, suggestions towards a lifestyle change. And it's a new way of eating for some. But I think for a lot of people, they're doing a lot of the right things. But I think that there's just the tweaks that you do in the recipes.
Yeah, because we get some individuals who are doing the right things, they just are missing certain components, and that's all they need to tweak.
And that's what I find working with a nutritionist versus working with just like a fitness professional, or even these fad diets. The articles that we were talking about earlier, when they're kind of more written by journalists versus a professional, a health practitioner. And I think that's the difference.
But even
and also,
some health practitioners are guilty of it. They're out of their scope of practice. So.
That's true. But even sometimes we take food advice from foodies, and foodies are about making things yummy and good, but not necessarily being as clean as they could. And the thing is some of the little things we could be doing could be having, detrimental effects to our health, and we don't even know that that's the reason why. For example, what I was thinking was like what you cook your food in. And another example is there's so many people out there promoting dairy or lactose-free dairy, or, like that sort of thing, because they think that dairy still has a place in the diet. And it's like, this is where the education part comes in, and how we can find alternatives to those things that you like that kind of supplement your diet.
Yeah, and it's not all or nothing. You learn through the program that it's gray. It's areas of gray or opalescent. And it's like, when can you just let it go? And that's the other thing, is learning to not feel guilty when you eat something like a slice of pizza.
Oh yeah,
we want you to enjoy that pizza. Make it worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
And have it.
We're very much into living moments. The way I do it personally, my day-to-day, is I keep my house really clean.
Mm-hmm.
The food at my house is clean, and when I'm out of the house or I go to a party or whatever, I'll eat what the host gives me. And I'm not that social, so it's not that often, but if I keep my house clean, then I'm not eating it on the daily. If there's all the convenience foods in the house, when you're weak and you're tired and you are hungry,
you're gonna eat it.
You're gonna eat it. So yeah, I keep my house clean, but I still live moments out in the open.
Yeah, it's
we got thumbs up.
That's like, and that's again, a lot of people come in and they get this diet mentality, and some of them actually change what I'm saying to them to making it black or white.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that with some, and then those are the ones who are like, oh, it's just another diet, I'm leaving. And it's like, no, they're so programmed with the diet mentality that it's brainwashed. Their brains are reprogrammed, so they change what I say.
Mm-hmm.
When I say you shouldn't have that, or you should avoid that, when I mean avoid, it's like, try not to have it all the time. And then I give examples of, okay, what I mean by that, very specific, and they still hear, I can't have ever.
Yeah.
And then
this was like diet. It was like one of the girls here, Justine, I'm gonna call you out. She loves cheese, and she would tell me what she'd bring for her lunch. So I was like, okay, when you pack your lunches and you go to work, like, to me, that's not the time to indulge in cheese. That's kind of like you're fueling your day. It's really like, I know a lot of people sit and eat at their desk. Are you really enjoying it? I think when you sit down with your favorite food, you need to make it a thing. Like, you're gonna pay attention to this cheese that you're eating, So I challenged her. I said, now when you pack your lunches, avoid dairy in your lunches. Just take it out of your lunches. Don't worry about the morning coffee. Don't worry about the Friday night pizza. But those daily lunches that you're packing, why not keep them perfectly clean and eliminate the dairy there? And it's like that one change for her. She was like, I can do that. Because other diets, when they say give up dairy or give up something, they'd be like, take it out of your morning coffee. Some people, their morning coffee is what gets them out of bed in the morning, and we're going to change it right off the bat. I just don't think that's so sustainable, and that's where we get in that deprivation mindset. But where you start to think of where you're at, and that's what Dana's talking about, the goal setting. Where are you at? Where is your starting point? And let's start moving from there.
Yeah, and you don't want to shock your system, and you don't want to turn something that is all about wise choices, because that's what it is making wise choice. It's not all or nothing, and it's like you have to deprive yourself, never have a slice of pizza again because dairy is not the best for you. But no, have that. Alcohol's not the best for you, but have a glass of wine once in a while. You know what I mean? Like, we know that wine is not good for us. We shouldn't be drinking it every day. We know it increases our risk for cancer. Well, you know what? Surprise! Dairy does too.
Yeah. But yet it's a staple in our everyday diet.
Well, it's because for so long we've been told we need it for calcium, and now we know it's not really true.
The dairy farmers are very influential.
Well, look at the fit they took. Did anybody notice on social media? They had petitions out and everything because Health Canada wanted to take out the dairy. They didn't even tell people to stop eating it. They just took out that category and put it into
The food guide.
yeah,
Food guide.
the Canadian Food Guide, sorry.
Yeah.
So like even because the research is there and it's quality research, it's not what it was to be.
Did they have it in there, Gary?
They don't have it. They have like it's one of the proteins,
right?
But it's not like in your face. You need to have so many serving of dairy, and they can say dairy or dairy alternatives, and that just.
So their compromise must have been that it was still in the guide, right? With the dairy farmers.
I'm sure it was because I know when there was certain research that came out and the U.S. wanted to remove dairy completely, the dairy industry in the U.S. threatened to sue them.
Mm. Oopsie. So anyway, those are some examples of some of the discussions we get into. Food marketing is a big one too. I think a lot of us are lacking the skills in the grocery store on how to read the food marketing and read the actual ingredients list. And that's no fault of your own. There's so much confusing information out there, but we'd really like to clear that up with you. And Dana would really like to give you tools.
So my tool that I'm giving you is actually something, and we didn't really get into that, but it's women who don't eat enough during the day, and that's what the tool's for is.
So this was also a really powerful portion of the program, not just for me, but also to watch other women go through, especially women who felt that they were overweight and women who had been living in the diet culture for many years. What is the biggest theme around the diet culture, I think, or around weight loss? Deprivation
And calories. So like people say, oh, I can eat all I want with keto. The fact is you're still not getting all the calories you need because you can't. It's very difficult to do so. You'd have to be like drizzling olive oil and oil all over your food to bump it up. So all the underlying theme to all that diets is calorie deprivation. So these women had programmed themselves to eat so little and they weren't eating enough.
So 1 week we're doing food journaling, and Dana would keep track of what everybody was eating. We'd have our energy estimate requirements, so the amount of calories we were supposed to consume, and then we could actually watch the amount of calories that we were consuming. And a lot of these women whose goal was it to lose weight, and they in their mind they thought they had to deprive, Dana was like, you need to eat more. You need to eat more to reach your goals. And that was a mind fuck for them.
We were doing it, and I guess some of them probably assumed because I wanted to make sure that they weren't overeating. But in fact, although you can overeat calories and that's not good, but in most cases it's with women, it's the fact that we're under eating. One, we're juggling so much. So some people I'm guilty of it, and I notice a lot of health detriment when I do it. We're juggling so much. So some women, it's not diet mentality. It's just that we are juggling so much now and we forget to eat. Other women is that they've used MyFitnessPal, which tends to undercalculate how many calories you need. I don't know what formula they're using, but it's not correct. Some of them been told or done Weight Watchers, and they're literally like not even meeting the normal amount that an adult needs, a minimum of 1,500 calories. These women,
if you're consuming under 1,500 calories,
stop.
Please download the guide. Please download the guide.
Well, the guide's not going to tell you how much to eat, but it's sure going to tell you how to not get hangry and how to make sure you're eating more throughout the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So if any of these sound like you, please hit us up. Dana provides, and I'll post it on this link too. Dana provides a 15-minute consultation for you guys to kind of talk about where you're at, where you want to go, and maybe how we can help get you there. So, and our program starts next Wednesday, and runs
first
for
email
8 weeks.
goes out on Sunday. So if you don't want to miss that first email on Sunday.
Yeah, it starts on Sunday, but the first meeting is Wednesday. Yeah. So if you want to join us and you want to get super clear about your goals and what you should be consuming, we'd love to have you. And even if you wanted to just have a little bit of a chat, Dana and I are available for that too. And we'd love to hear from you. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again for our next Wellness Wednesday. That's my cheesy host voice.